Heyo, welcome back. I'm John. I'm going to open stuff. This is the first of my box opening videos for Universes Beyond Warhammer 40,000 Commander deck. This is a new Magic the Gathering product. They came out with this Universes Beyond thing to allow them to utilize other licensed properties in their sets to make more money. I mean, let's be real, that's what it's there for. I have never played Warhammer. I've only got enough money to dump into one overpriced hobby, and this is it. So I don't have any idea about the lore or anything. I know less about the lore of Warhammer than I do about the lore for Magic, and I don't know much of bupkis about the lore for Magic. So I'm gonna pick up a case of these, not the super expensive $100 and something a clip, all surge foil hoopity doopity ones, but I'm gonna get a case of the regular ones, which are still a little spendy, but we'll see what we end up with. This first one is a mono black, I assume, mono black Necron Dynasties. Apparently Necron is a thing in Warhammer. Oh look, it says so right there. The Necrons. The Necrons are a race of mechanical warriors who were betrayed by their gods and entombed in cold, unfeeling bodies. Now awakening from a millennia-long slumber, they aim to conquer the galaxy and rule it once again. Clad in self-repairing living metal and armed with terrifying Gauss weaponry, the Necrons are a horrific foe. Well, all right, that's some lore. And now I know more lore. All right, what do we got in here in the box? Jesus. Okay, one, the box is hard to get into. Okay, so we've got more of these token thingies that they kind of are doing everywhere. This is just random bullshit. And a deck box, which is fine, and I will utilize at least for the immediate future. And then here is the deck itself, which, it does slide out, and a life counter, and some promo bull chisel. All right, this is gonna take a bit because like I said, I don't know shit about what's in these. So we're gonna learn together, and you can hear my really bad hot takes on these cards. First up is the Face Commander. This is Zarek the Silent King, 1 and 3 black, legendary artifact creature Necron, flying, 3/4. My will be done. Whenever Hoopty attacks, mill 3 cards. You may put an artifact, creature card, or vehicle card from among the cards milled this way into your hand. So it's a graveyard strategies deck. So far it seems pretty meh because it goes into your hand, not onto the battlefield. So I don't know. Gonna have to see something. Imhotep the Stormlord is the other Face Commander, 2 and 2 black for a legendary artifact creature Necron, 3/3. It has 2 abilities. One is Pharaon. Whenever 1 or more artifact cards leave your graveyard, create 2/2/2 black Necron warrior artifact creature tokens. All right, that's pretty good. And then it has Grand Strategist. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target artifact creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains menace until end of turn. Also not bad. That first ability would be awesome in something like an Osgir deck, except for the part where you can't play black cards in Osgir, so you'd have to figure something out. I don't know. This seems better than the other one to me. Also seems like it can fit in the 99 or more decks because it's not triple black. All right, let's dive in. First, we've got a Flayed one. 2 and a black for a 4/1 artifact creature Necron with LifeLink. And it has Flesh Flare. When it enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. All right, self-mill. Pretty standard strategy in black. Yes, those are my cats in the background, play fighting, because that's what they do. Hex Mark Destroyer, 4 and 2 black for a 6/6 artifact creature Necron. Multi-threat eliminator. Hex Mark Destroyer can't be blocked except by 6 or more creatures. And it has Unearth for 4 and 2 black, so you can yoink it back out of the yard. Yeah, this guy seems pretty solid. It's probably getting in there. Unless your opponents don't have anything better to use their removal on. Plasmancer. 2 and 2 black for a 3/3 artifact creature Necron Wizard. Flying. Dynastic Advisor. When Plasmancer enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic swamp, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. That seems pretty medium. Yeah, it's 4 mana to ramp for 1 card. I'd rather have a frickin'... And it goes to your hand. I'd rather have a Solemn. Psychomancer. 1 and a black for a 1/1 artifact creature Necron Wizard with flying and Harbinger of Despair. Whenever Psychomancer or another non-token artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield or is put into exile from the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Alright, so it's a blood artist for artifacts. It's a blood artifact. Heh. Alright, yeah. I kind of like this. Sawtec Immortal. 2 and a black for a 2/2 artifact creature Necron with flash and elite troops. Sawtec Immortal enters the battlefield with +1/+1 counter on it for each creature that died this turn. It's an instant rebuild after a board wipe, so it's fine, but doesn't really blow my doors off. Gorpeck Destroyer. I like the art. Those big swords. Dig it. 2 and 2 black for an artifact creature Necron, 4/2 Death Touch with Hyperphase Threshers. Whew, sorry. I just ate lunch, so I'm a little sleepy. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, blah blah, gains first strike until end of turn. Meh, whatever. It's fine. Triarch Praetorian. 1 and a black for a 2/1 artifact creature Necron with flying and dynastic codes. When Praetorian enters the battlefield from a graveyard, you draw 2 cards and you lose 2 life, and it has Unearth for 4 and a black. It's fine. So far, everything's fine, but nothing's really beating down the doors to make it into a deck or make me really desperate to play this deck. Knight Scythe. 3 colorless for a 3/1 artifact vehicle with flying. Invasion Beams. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 black Necron Warrior artifact creature token, and it has crew 2. So it brings its own crew to the yard. Okay, that's good. That's solid. Defile. This is a reprint. 1 black for an instant. Target creature gets -1/-1 for each swamp you control. Dread Return. Also a reprint. Solid reprint and good in a reanimator deck. Cranial Plating. Okay, 1, best cranial plating art ever. 2, cranial plating is a badass card, and it's great in artifact decks. Hedron Archive. 4 mana rock. It's fine. I don't think that it's very good in this deck because a 4 mana rock with face commanders that are 2 or 3 pips of a color. Meh. Mask of Memory. I really like this card in general, and I like this art, so yeah, it's fine. Soul Ring. Honestly, that's a little underwhelming for Soul Ring art, but whatever, it's fine. Baron Moore. Ooh, that's a really pretty Myriad Landscape. I bet it looks awesome in foil. Oh, that's nice. Another Reliquary Tower reprint. It's a little hard to see that it's a tower, but I guess it's fine. Darkness, Black Fog. 1 black, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. No, I wasn't kidding, it's Black Fog. Go for the Throat. This is a flavor win in this deck. This is the perfect removal spell for this deck, because it's destroy target non-artifact creature, and everything that comes in the deck is artifacts. So solid. Arcane Signet, yeah, it's fine. But again, why would you even need to run this in a mono black deck? Put Jet Medallion in it instead. Commander Sphere. Again, 3 mana rock. Meh. I mean, it has card draw stapled onto it, but so it's fine. But any of these things that add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity feel like a waste in a monocolored deck to me. And especially black has so many better ways to draw cards. It does need more ramp. Black is weak to ramp. Which is why there's Mind Stone in here. Mind Stone's just fine. Thought Vessel, that's fine. The art's good. Thought Vessel's a solid card. Unstable Obelisk, this you almost have to have in a mono black deck, because otherwise you can't really deal with artifacts and you only have 1 card that deals with enchantments or Meteor Golem. Wayfarers Bobble, this will make the Commander's Quarters guys very happy, because it's another Wayfarers Bobble reprint. Desert, Cycling Desert, that's fine. So that's my cat laying on the table and shoving the camera. Thanks, buddy. Polluted Mires, another cycling land. Vault of Whispers, again, flavor win, because it's an artifact land. I like it. And now we're into rares. So let's see if there's things here that make me stand up and take notice. Enrakir the Traveler, 4 and a black for a 4/4 legendary artifact creature Necron. So you could turn this into your commander if you wanted. Lord of the Praetorian Legions. Whenever it attacks, you may cast an artifact spell from your hand or graveyard by paying life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. Huh. Yeah. Cheat stuff out. I'm here for it. Biotransference. 2 and 2 black for an enchantment. Creatures you control are artifacts in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you lose 1 life and create a 2/2 black Necron Warrior artifact creature token. This feels strong kind of intuitively, but I don't really know how. Chronomancer. 1 and a black for a 1/1 artifact creature, Necron Wizard with flying, atomic transmutation, 1, tap it, sacrifice another artifact, draw a card. All right, I already like this. And unearth for 2 and a black. It has my 3 favorite words in Magic on there. It says draw a card. Cryptech. 3 and a black for a 3/3 artifact creature, Necron Wizard, 1 and a black, tap it. Choose another target artifact creature you control. When that creature dies this turn, return it to the battlefield tapped under your control. So save your shit. As long as this thing isn't tapped. Illuminators Xerath. 2 and a black for a 3/3 legendary artifact creature Necron with secrets. Yeah, that wobbling cat. Secrets of the Soul. You tap it and sacrifice another creature. Add an amount of black mana equal to the sacked creature's mana value. All right, that seems pretty solid, especially if you come up with some way to cheat and you can untap it multiple times. Sorry, needed a drink. Locust Heavy Destroyer, 1 and 3 black. For a 3/2 artifact creature Necron with flying. And stay out of my Mountain Dew, kitty. And Enmetic Exterminator. When it enters the battlefield, each player sacks a creature. And then you can unearth it for 8. Jesus. Lichgard, 2 and a black for a 2/3 artifact creature Necron. That's another kitty. Hello, Daisy. Guardian Protocols, 3 and a black, sacrifice Lichgard, return all legendary creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, this is the first one that I have felt like immediately slots into other decks, particularly Joda. It's replenish for legendary creatures. So yeah, let's Joda recover from a board wipe. Necron Deathmark, 3 and 2 black for a 5/3 artifact creature Necron with flash and synaptic disintegrator. When it enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target creature and target player mills 3 cards. You can be the target creature if you've gone ham into the self-mill strategery. Necron Overlord. 2 and 2 black for a 2/5 artifact creature Necron Noble. With Relentless March. Pay X, tap it, and tap X untapped artifacts you control. Target opponent loses X life. That's a lot of work to do that. Out of the Tombs, 2 and a black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put 2 Eon counters on Out of the Tombs, then mill cards equal to the number of Eon counters on it. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, instead return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. If you can't, you lose the game. This feels like a dog. This feels like, I don't like. It feels like you're 1 Bajuka Bog away from killing yourself. I mean, admittedly, Labman is 1 lightning bolt away, but you usually figure out how to cheat that. Royal Warden, 3 and 2 black for a 3/2 artifact creature Necron with Phalanx Commander. When Royal Warden enters the battlefield, create 2 tapped 2/2 black Necron Warrior artifact creature tokens, and it has Unearth. I don't know, I guess it's fine. Be great in a Blink deck. Make a bunch of dudes. Shard of the Nightbringer. It is 5 and 3 black for an 8/8 creature Catan with flying and drain life. When Shard of the Nightbringer enters the battlefield, if you cast it, target opponent loses half their life rounded up. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. You okay, sweetie? Daisy just tried to jump from my desk onto this table and fell a little short. This seems pretty solid. Oh look, we have more shards. We have a Shard of the Void Dragon. That's not a dragon, dude. I mean, I guess it can be a dragon. It looks like a demon. Whatever, it's 4 and 3 black for a 7/7 creature Catan, flying, and it has Spear of the Void Dragon. Whenever Shard attacks, each opponent sacks a non-land permanent, and it has Matter Absorption. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield or is put into exile from the battlefield, put 2 +1/+1 counters on this guy. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth a shit or not. I can't really tell. My gut says no. For 7 mana nowadays, I want a card that's going to have a pretty hefty immediate impact. Gorpeck Lord, 2 and a black for a 3/2 artifact creature Necron Noble with Menace. Command protocols. Other artifact creatures you control get +1/+0 and have menace, and has unearth for 2 and a black. This card seems great. It's very well cast, it's very well costed, and it does a lot of things in a lot of decks, including this one. And I really like it if you can copy it somehow. Technomancer. 5 and 2 black for a 5/1 artifact creature Necron Wizard. When it enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards, then return any number of artifact creature cards with total mana value 6 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay. You can get this to... You can do this to pull out half of your Mike and Trike combo. I don't know. That's what I had. Their name is Death. That hurt a little. 3 and 3 black for a sorcery. Destroy all non-artifact creatures. Solid. Okay. And their number is Legion. X and 4 black to create X tapped 2/2 black Necron warrior artifact creature tokens. Then you gain life equal to the number of artifacts you control. Exile this card and you can cast it from your graveyard. And it's a sorcery. This is a win on so many levels for this deck particularly. I don't know if it's going to be worth a crap in any other decks really, but I think it's great here because you may very well mill it and you can cast it from there. Nah, it's good. Tomb Blade. 4 and 2 black for a 5/4 artifact creature Necron with flying. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player loses life equal to the number of creatures they control unless they sack a creature. And it has unearth for 8. Meh, it's fine. So far, most of this is not making me want to run out and sleeve this bad boy up. Treason the Infinite, 4 and 2 black for a 4/6 legendary artifact creature Necron with Death Touch and Prismatic Gallery. As long as it is on the battlefield, it has all activated abilities of all artifact cards in your graveyard. We've seen this. This is a variant on the Necrotic Ooze ability, which was a great ability, but it's... I don't know, you're milling yourself so you can get a bunch of crap in your graveyard. This ought to be fine. Triarch Stalker, 3 and 2 black for a 4/5 artifact creature Necron with targeting relay. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose an opponent. Creatures attacking the last chosen player have menace. I kind of like this because I like politics and I like painting targets on other people. I would run this in a Brina deck in a heartbeat. The War in Heaven. 3 and 3 black for an enchantment saga. Chapter 1. You draw 3 cards and you lose 3 life. Love it. Chapter 2. Mill 3 cards. Great in this deck. Chapter 3. Choose up to 3 target creature cards with total mana value 8 or less in your graveyard. Return each of them to the battlefield with a Necrodermis counter on it. They're artifacts in addition to their other types. Yeah, all right. I can get behind it. I like that card. Canoptic Scarab Swarm. 4 generic for a 1/1 artifact creature insect with flying and feeder mandibles. When it enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard. For each artifact or land card exiled this way, create a 1/1 colorless insect artifact creature token with flying. Huh. That can be pretty interesting. I think there's some decent applications for this card. Canoptic Spider. 5 generic for a 4/4 artifact creature Spider. with flying and Fabricator Claw Array. Whenever another non-token artifact, creature, or vehicle enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Okay, auto-include in an artifact-heavy deck. Love it. Play an artifact, get a card. I'm here for it. Especially when you do things like Hullbreaker Horror and Loop 0 drops. Yeah, that seems strong. 5 mana is a lot, but there's got to be a way to... Well, there's a ton of artifact reducers and things. Canoptic Tomb Sentinel, 4 generic for a 4/3 artifact creature insect with vigilance and exile cannon. When it enters the battlefield from a graveyard, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent, and it has Unearth for 7. Yeah, I dig. Canoptech Wraith. 3 generic for a 2/1 artifact creature Wraith. Wraith form, it can't be blocked. All right, I'm already in. And then Transdimensional Scout. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 3 generic and sacrifice it. If you do, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards with the same name as a land you control, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. I don't like that last part. I think it's lame. I mean, I guess, fine. I don't know. I don't dig it, but I'm sure somebody will tell me what a moron I am. Convergence of Dominion, 3 generic for an artifact with dynastic command node. As long as you control your commander, activated abilities of cards in your graveyard cost 2 generic less to activate. This effect can't reduce the mana in that ability's activation cost to less than 1 mana. And it has translocation protocols, pay 3 and tap it to mill 3 cards. This is great, especially with all the Unearth stuff going on here. This works just fine in this deck. Crypto Thrall. 4 generic for a 3/3 artifact creature construct with Protector. Other artifact creatures you control have hexproof. Love it. Defense. Gotta have some defense. Defense is what keeps Denebas away. See? Defense. Ghost Arc, 4 generic for a 3/3 artifact vehicle with flying repair barge. Whenever it becomes crewed, each artifact creature in your graveyard gains Unearth 3 until end of turn. And it crews for 2. Yeah, that seems pretty good. Necron Monolith. 7 generic for a 7/7 artifact vehicle with flying and indestructible. Whenever it attacks, mill 3 cards. For each creature card milled this way, create a 2/2 black Necron warrior. And it crews for 4. Again, it just seems like a lot of mana for a creature. Resurrection Orb. 2 generic for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature has lifelink. Whenever it dies, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step, and it equips for 4. Wow. Not a fan. Way not a fan. Costs way too much to equip. And, I mean, fine, it brings it back, so it better have a really good ETB on it. Scepter of Eternal Glory. 4 generic for a legendary artifact. Add 1 mana of any color. Add 3 mana of any 1 color. Activate only if you control 3 or more lands with the same name. Huh. Yeah, all right. I like it. I'm sure there's ways to break this. I don't know it yet, but I'm sure they exist. Tomb Fortress. Land. It enters tapped, tap it for a black, or pay 2 and 3 black and tap it and exile it. Mill 4 cards, then return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. Okay, so, I mean, tap it for a black, or it's a reanimate spell that sits on the deck. It's awful spendy. That's awful spendy, and it has to sit there. I mean, land destruction is a lot more rare in Commander than a lot of other things, but most people run at least 1 or 2 pieces, and that seems like a card that could get gross. Beacon of Unrest. This is a reprint. Bring shit back from the dead. Shuffle this into your library. It's fine. Living Death. 3 and 2 black for a reprint. Sorcery. You know what this does. If you don't, here. Read it. Knock yourself out. It's fine. Mutilate. 2 and 2 black. Reprint. -1/-1 for each swamp you control. It's fine. Ooh, Caged Sun. All right, well, this is a good reprint. This hasn't been reprinted all that many times. 6, choose a color, stuff that color, gets +1/+1. Tap for that color, and it adds an extra. Yeah, Caged Sun's fine. Endless Atlas is great in monocolored decks. Oh, that's pretty. Gilded Lotus. Oh, this is a smart include. Mystic Forge, you look at the top card of your library and you can cast artifact spells and colorless spells from the top of your library, or you can tap it and pay a life to exile the top card. You can make, if you've got any kind of cost reducer, you can chew through your whole deck with, you can get infinite stuff with Sensei's Divining Top and Mystic Forge. Sculpting Steel, it's another, it's a slightly worse copy artifact. And then lands. Let's see, basic-y. The art on it's pretty. The art on all of these basics is pretty dope. All right, and then we've got our thick boy of the face commander, and then we've got a bunch of tokens. All right, so I'm sure this is solid, and it probably plays very well against the other commander precons, and I hope I get a chance to find that out this evening, because I'm going to the card shop and it's release day for this set. So hopefully I'll be able to sit down with 3 other people who have also bought brand new Warhammer commander decks and want to see how they go against each other. So yeah, it's cool. I think it's probably the best top-down for the Universes Beyond stuff that they've done. I'm not horrifically opposed to the Universes Beyond stuff, but not being a Warhammer guy, this doesn't really blow my skirt up. So it's fine, but most of these cards seem to only be good for mono black decks or dedicated self-mill. It just, everything feels kind of narrow. I don't know. I think I'm going to give this one a B-. If I play with this against other decks or play against this, I may revise that upward or downward, but right now it feels kind of like a B-. So there we are. And I'll be back later. Till then,